Pest control is a challenge that all museums face. Museums of every size and genre have to deal with the potential invasion of insects and rodents. That's why integrated pest management, or IPM, is so critical. Through a system of monitoring for pests, eliminating food sources, identifying infestation and nipping it in the bud, you can preserve your collections for this and future generations.
In other words, the extinction of my people. My name is Bobby Flavipe, more formally known as Robert, the Anthrenus Flavipe. My friends call me Bobby, but you could call me Mr. Flavipe. Listen, I'm a regular guy just like everybody else. I work hard to keep my family fed and sheltered. I didn't have no interest in founding no touchy-feely organization where people hold hands and sing kumbaya, you know. But based on my own personal experience of living in a museum, I found that an organization like PETI was essential to protect the rights of insects everywhere. I'm originally from the city. I came upstate for a better life, you know. A better life for my wife and kid. It's crazy in the city. People live like animals there. That's no way to raise a family. I never even heard of no Albany. I thought once you got north of the Bronx you were in Canada. But one day the missus and I hitched a ride on the coat of some lawyer headed there for work. The missus was about ready to explode with eggs. That would have been a mess, let me tell you. Hey, listen, I love my wife, but no man wants to see that. We first landed in a hotel in Albany where that lawyer was staying. We were happy thinking we could raise a family there. But we weren't there for more than a day when the inevitable happened. Some hotel maid found us on the mattress, and she starts yelling about bed bugs. Thank you very much, but I ain't no bed bug. Never have been, never will be. You know, it's a real insult to call a carpet beetle a bed bug. And it's like, come on humans, hello, we don't all look the same. It's very ignorant, but it's typical of the narrow-mindedness of the human beings. They cannot see beyond their noses, and for the record, they have some very big nasal appendages hanging on their face. It gives me the creeps every time I get near one. But you don't see me trying to squash them with my feet, do you? The wife and I made tracks fast. We had to, no choice about it, and her being in a very delicate condition. Here we are, scrambling for the nearest vent, hoping to make it out with our exoskeletons intact. It was a mess. But as luck would have it, we were able to hitch a ride in the pocket of another fella who was heading out for some sightseeing. He ends up in this place called Cherry Hill, and the missus and I say, "Thank you very much, I think we just hit the jackpot." As my Uncle Larry used to say, before he met an untimely death at the end of a broom, God rest his soul, carpe diem. I still have no idea what that means, but I guess he learned it while he was still a young larva feeding on the leather binding of some foreign language book. I digress. Everywhere we looked at this Cherry Hill, we saw food, and more food for the larvae. It was like an all-you-could-eat buffet at the Sizzler, but like a high-quality Sizzler, with like tablecloths and stuff.
Carpet beetles primarily feed on proteins. So hair, leather, hide, silk. It's actually in the larval stage when the carpet beetles are the most destructive. They're voracious feeders at that point, and they need those nutrients in order to metamorphose into adult carpet beetles, and then the cycle starts all over again. On this trunk, you can see areas of loss where larvae have completely eaten away the hair that had been covering this trunk. And on the interior, this trunk has already been cleaned, but the crevice here had been full of larva carcasses.
We've been hearing all this talk from the humans about the destructions our kids do while they're eating and growing. Are you going to tell me you want to take the food out of my kid's mouth just because he makes a bit of a mess while he's eating? I mean, come on. There's a name we got for people like that back in the old neighborhood, but you know, it's not appropriate for me to say that because there's larvae present. Look, I get where the museum's coming from. I understand that the feeding habits of some of the larvae are causing damage to the property. But kids will be kids. They're always doing stuff, getting into trouble, you know? That doesn't give humans the right to put out glue traps, for God's sake. Can we maybe handle this in a little more civilized manner? Instead of you killing my children for putting holes in your rugs, how about we sit down and talk about this and reach some kind of compromise? You know, I hear they're freezing bugs to death. Freezing them. It's like, what kind of horror show are we living in here? That is why I felt compelled to begin PETI. If we don't stand up for ourselves, who will? Hey, that's kind of catchy. I like that. Hey, honey, write that down.
What am I, your secretary?
So far, my family are the only members of the organization. But that's fine, because I've got about 60 kids and counting, plus the missus and me. That's like 62 members. I'm working on some of the other bugs in the community, but insect species don't get too friendly like with each other, you know. It's better to just keep your head down and go about your own business, and I can respect that. But what I can't respect are those moths we've got living in the museum. They're a disgrace to insects everywhere. They're too obvious. It's like, oh, I guess we got an infestation of moths because there's 10 dead carcasses laying right there on the object. Though I do feel bad for them because this museum has come down very hard on the moths. They've been targeted from the beginning.
In addition to a carpet beetle infestation, Historic Cherry Hill has also had a very major moth infestation. This was actually discovered first. A trip right up to Historic Cherry Hill's attic at the right time of year, one could actually find moths swarming. And pheromone-baited moth traps also caught moths by the hundred. To deal with this problem, it was no small task. The infestation had spread throughout much of Cherry Hill's textile collection. Everything had to be frozen. Textiles were frozen to well below 0 degrees for a period of 2 weeks in order to kill all moths and all eggs. After they were frozen, all the carcasses had to be removed, whether picked out with tweezers or vacuumed, and then the textiles could be safely rehoused in our storage building.
So in conclusion, I, Robert, the Anthrenus flavipae, founder and charter member of the People for the Ethical Treatment of Insects, ask all of you out there watching this video to take a moment and consider, how would you feel if your life was in constant threat of being squashed, glued, or frozen? If feeding your children was considered a criminal act? If your very existence was deemed an infestation? And if you have paused for even a moment, then I ask you show support for PETI and save a bug's life.
Given the damage caused to historic collections by pests such as carpet beetles and moths, it is critical that all museums implement a program of integrated pest management to preserve these collections for future generations.